Welcome back to the Etcetera State of Mind podcast. We back with a new season and with a new guest. Again, welcome to the Etcetera State of Mind podcast. Step inside the mind of Etcetera. And I got my cousin with me today, Minnie. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in just a minute, but first I want to say thank you guys so much for coming back and supporting your boy. All right, without further ado, I'm gonna let my cousin Minnie introduce herself, let her share her social media platforms. Be sure y'all go follow, like the video, and wherever you're watching this. Again, we are on all podcast platforms. So whatever platform you use to listen to your podcast on, you can find us there. Go ahead.
Hi guys, my name is Minnie. I am starting to go by my government name, which is Aleah. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, it is Life Diaries of Aleah. On social media, it's Minnie.
So just be sure to go to her page, check her out, follow her, y'all. She's a photographer, but she's way more than that, all right? Very talented. I mean, she is family, so, you know. But yeah, we got a lot of things in store, and you guys have already been giving us good feedback on the social media posts that we've already been putting out. Love to see that. Want to continue to see it because we got a lot in store this year, I promise. So get ready for the ride. Again, we're going to get started with this new season. First episode of this new season of Etcetera State of Mind podcast. Here we go. What's going on, y'all? So it's the beginning of the year, the beginning of February. Sometimes life be life, and you come with these great ambitions and goals and New Year's resolutions and all that. Sometimes you get the going, and I mean you get the going, right? But then sometimes it don't work the way you expect it to. For me, something that I started doing a few years ago was I got off of the hype of the new year. Like, I'm with it, I get it, I understand the energy and what you're trying to do. You want to start it off strong, but sometimes in the back of my mind, I also have that thing of like, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And at the end of the day, we do walk into a new year, but we never know when our life is going to end, right? So I try to treat every day as like, it's almost my last. Now, do I succeed at that all the time? No. But it is a thought that I'm mindful about, because if I just focus on today, because even the Bible talks about that tomorrow has its own troubles, if I just focus on today and what I can do today, then I'll be satisfied for that moment, right? And that leads to a consistent pace where you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're not feeling burnt out, and also you give your chance to enjoy the moment and not get caught up in anxiety and depression. I just want to encourage you guys to keep moving forward, to keep doing whatever it is that you had the desire to do. And if you feel like you need to change that, if you feel like God has led you to change that, it ain't never too late to change your mind. It ain't never too late to go another route, to try again, right? The main thing is don't get caught up with distractions, because there's a lot of distraction and misdirection in the first beginning of the year, because everybody's trying to get your attention, right? And yes, I was posting a little content, but I didn't post a lot intentionally, first of all, to give myself a break, but to also not be a part of the distraction, right? I wanted to make sure that I could focus so I could be good for the rest of the year. All right, y'all, we're gonna get into it. I'll give y'all a little bit more insight about how my year has started and what I've been up to. So my year, honestly, has been very peaceful. It's been very peaceful, honestly. And I believe it's because I did take a step back to breathe and just take a break. And honestly, I've been kind of giving my spirit rest since the end of Thanksgiving, around the end of November, around Thanksgiving time. And I did that intentionally because, like, 365 days is a long time, and you gotta get some rest. And rest is important. Rest is so important that even God himself, when he created the earth and he created everything in it, on that last day, it was a complete day of rest. And that was intentional from God himself. Even he intended to give that day, make that day a day of rest. And not only him, but also his creation. That's something that, God, I don't want to say revealed to me, but I guess, shined a little bit more light on. Not saying that I wasn't working, because I was doing stuff. And I wasn't at the point to where I felt like I have to do this because I got to get my goals going and I got to get my year started and I got this, I got that, all the hype of the new year of, come on y'all, let's get it, let's go. And it's, again, like I said before, it's understandable, I get it, I understand the hype, but I also believe that a lot of that can be a distraction, especially when you start adding in society, adding in social media, and then just adding in the way society works and the way marketing works. There's a lot of hype around the new year as well, not just because of society and people you surround yourself by, but also because people trying to make money off of your hype, right? And it can be a distraction without you even knowing it. That's the perfect distraction, right? That's exactly how the devil likes to move. When you're out of the distraction, or when you're not distracted, should I say, it's a whole lot easier to see that. I want to know how your year has started off.
I guess all in all, my year started off with rest as well, but it was more so of unintentional rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I had every intention on creating a plan,
Mm-hmm.
setting goals for the new year, and actually executing those goals. But as the end of the year came to a close, I thought about how each goal that I typically would set prior to in previous years, that it would fumble, like I would fall, it would just fall flat basically. And so this year I decided to go towards the goals with a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me taking the time to plan out things, to come up with something that I really want to do, something I really wanted to be, something that I could actually execute on my own, I took the time to pray about it first. I took the time to consult God and whatever it is that He wanted me to do, because obviously whatever goals I had prior to were not in His will, is how I took it, right? So this year came in and I was still just saying, well, God, I'm trusting you with whatever it is that you want me to do, right? And so I wouldn't say I took a break from what I was doing, but I feel like God kind of removed, like you said, the distractions in my life to where I had no other choice but to sit in self, sit there, think. Because like I said, I did a recent video myself as well where I was talking about how I would set these goals that weren't even like things that I really wanted to do with my life, because I really didn't have much direction of where I wanted to go. Like I knew the end goal, like the end game of what I wanted to do, but my process of trying to get there was a little shaky.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goals that I would set were like things that I felt like I could achieve within my own willpower, right? So something very obtainable that I can do within a couple months. And in my time of rest and sitting in self and sitting with God and, connecting and research, I realized that God was trying to expand me.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking more of me than what I was willing to give out, right? And so right now I'm at a place of finally saying yes, basically. I feel like I said yes before, but my yes was more of a maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go to church and you be like, yes, God, and then when He asks you to do something, you're like, that's not really me.
Yeah.
So like even this right here of like putting myself out there, which I know He told me to do that years ago. And I was just like, that's not me. And of course, if it's something you can do yourself and you don't need God, then more than likely it's not what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like every goal that I set, I felt like it was something that I can do myself. So right now, my goals for the year are to do what God has called me to do and not be timid or embarrassed or shy away from it, or even make it to where it's just simple to do, So that's kind of like where I am, where my year is going, putting myself out there, being obedient in the process, and yeah.
It's crazy how God will do you, but I tell people this all the time, and if you ever have a chance to have a conversation with me, you'll probably hear me say this, but God always works in a way of like revealing us to us, right? A lot of the times, like God already gives us the ability and the answers within ourselves. And sometimes like we have to be shown ourselves to even tap into that ability, because sometimes we feel like we don't have it. Sometimes we feel like we're not worth it, if that makes sense, because we know what we do and how we act and who we are. God really does a real good job at showing us. But it's a good thing, because God is definitely a person that I believe is big on accountability, right? This is why I like to be big on accountability. But even with that, like, the amazing thing about what you was talking about is like, as God like takes you on these journeys, shows you yourself, and continues to help you elevate, it comes through tough times sometimes. It comes through pain sometimes. It comes through things you don't want to go through sometimes. But that's where growth comes from. Growth is always birthed and nourished through something, right? Even if you look at a seed being planted in the ground, it's going through something and continuing to go through something as it sprouts, as it buds, as it produces fruit, or whatever it is that it's supposed to produce. But at the same time, what it also does specifically when it comes to our relationship with God is it makes our relationship with Him better, because of what I was speaking to you about earlier, because it gives us more confidence in God. And I was telling my cousin earlier, like, when you look up confidence and where it really comes from, the root word of it is confide. Well, who should we be confiding in? God. If we confide in God, if our hope, if our faith, if our trust is in Him, which it should be, being God-fearing people, then we can walk around confident knowing that as long as I keep confiding, as long as I keep trusting, as long as I keep having faith and hope in God, I really don't have nothing to worry about, right? This is why the Bible speaks about us not worrying so much, because why would God give us a spirit of fear and give us a spirit of worry and give us a spirit of anxiety when our faith, hope, and trust and reliance supposed to be in God? Definitely do this more intentionally because I'm more self-aware of it, but I do my best to walk around in confidence. Not to lift myself up, but I know who I'm living for. I know who has my front, my back, my side, my up, my down. And I was telling my cousin earlier, like, I'm just in this time of like, everything go work out. Like, what I need to worry about, everything gonna work out. God created everything. Like, I look around all the time and I'm like, that's God. That's God. So what am I worried about? Like, you know, now don't get me wrong, I know we human and all that, and it's easier said than done, but that's an excuse, because our faith, our hope, our trust, the person we're supposed to be relying on is Jesus. So the more I lean into that, kind of like what you were saying, like, then the more I can step out boldly and do things. Because I will say, like, there were some things that I was holding back, and some of that was because of fear. Some of that was because of doubting myself. But God is the one who gave me the ability anyway. And He's given me the right, the will, and the power to create. So why am I not doing it, you know? Is this your first podcast?
This is my very
This is my cousin's first podcast, y'all. Make sure y'all give us some clap hand emojis in the comments. You know, clap it up for her, all that good stuff. But I really want to see what she got to say, and I know y'all do too, cause y'all ain't never seen me do content with nobody, not for real, especially on my podcast. So you know it's about to go down. What's crazy is this is my cousin, and I just met her I don't know how many months ago, but it's just been a few months ago. And like, we built a great relationship. We got a lot in common, a lot. And I'm excited because like we gonna be on the map, over the map. We got plans and we go get stuff done.
So you were talking about worrying. And one thing that I thought about earlier today was the simple fact that we as people, how quickly we forget where God has brought us from, right? How the different situations that we're in. And it seems as though with each situation, it's almost like it gets worse than the last one, right? And it's like, while you're in that situation, in that moment, it's like, God, I don't see how you're gonna bring me out of this, right? And then he does just that, brings you out with your sane mind. He brings you out with, you know, abilities to maneuver, or abilities to still be able to encourage somebody else, even sometimes while you're in the situation, right? And yet when you get into another situation or a coincidence or a circumstance, then automatically everything that God has done prior to, you somehow forget. You basically downplay God, because now you're trying to, not only that, you're doubting him, downplay him, but also trying to take the job or do the job of God by putting matters into your own hands and trying to fix it yourself, right? And I just was thinking, like, what if God looks at us and is just like, why are you trying to be me? How can you try and be me? After all this that I've done, in all these years and all this time, and you still don't believe that I'm God enough to do what it is that you're wanting me to do. Like that, it just blows my mind to think that we can just forget so easily.
God like has worked with me in different stages throughout the past 5 years or so. One of those stages was like working on my perception, which was a great stage. It sucked, but when I came out of it, it was a great stage because my perception was forever changed and will forever be changed, right? But another one of those stages was like getting out of the stage of worrying. Again, it don't mean that these things don't creep around, but you're at another level, right? I'm at another level when it comes to quote unquote worrying now, right? The way I look at it, the way I perceive it is different. So, and one of the things that I always try to keep in my mind and be mindful of is like, you know, people have that saying like, oh, if God did it before, he can do it again. Why we forget that? Because if you know that and you're worrying, do you really believe it? And you know, it's just kind of like what you were saying, like how God look at us. And I wonder how he looks at us when we say something like that. Oh, if he did it before, he could do it again. And it's like, but you're worrying about something right now in the midst of you saying that.
I really think that like the human mind thinks that in the moment, right? I feel like because the moment can sometimes be so realistic, and sometimes we have like tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? Like we can only see what the world has to offer. And so we miss what the spirit realm is doing, right? Like what should be done in heaven, loosed in heaven, should be loosed in earth, kind of thing, right? But somehow we become more flesh than spirit. So we miss out on the blessing that is coming. Like we can't see it. Like, yeah, faith. You know what I'm saying? The substance of things hoped for, and things does not seem.
Exactly.
Right? And so like we lack faith. Because we're so focused on what's right, and like whatever is in front of us, whatever the situation is, it blocks us. It blocks the vision so much. And I believe God understands that. But then again, he literally asked for a mustard seed size faith. You know what I'm saying? Like this is literally this. And I just feel like it's for it to be such a small ask of us. And somehow, for those of us who've literally been seeking God all these years, how is it that when one small inconvenience happens, we lay that down, we lay that faith down to the side, instead of picking it up and honing in on that or seeking God harder for what it is? I just be amazed by it.
Yeah, I think some of that comes from like the way, distraction. That's where it comes from. When we're not having the faith that we once had, distracted. When we went from full faith to worry, distracted, right? When we went from God got this, to anxiety, distracted. Who hindered you, right? Who hindered you? You've been distracted. Somebody been in your face. Somebody been in your ear. Something got in front of your eyes, right? And sometimes that somebody is you, something that can be very detrimental and very destroying to the mind. It's something that also can be very edifying to the mind, which is thinking and your thoughts. Overthinking is real. And there's nothing wrong with analyzing, using logical thinking, using common sense. We need more of that. I'm all about that. But overthinking, for a lot of people, especially these days, when you get overthinking and then you mix it with your emotions, it's always going to lead to something that you don't want. And a lot of times it leads you down this rabbit hole of depression, this rabbit hole of anxiety, this rabbit hole of fear, this rabbit hole of, whatever that's keeping you from moving, keeping you from trusting in God, keeping you from taking that step. Sometimes it got you moving when you should move, right? So I think that's another issue too, is like sometimes we get so caught up in our mind and with our thoughts that I don't think we think this directly, but indirectly it's almost like we know more than God knows, right? And it's like you said earlier, like it's like God looking at us and be like, how can you even attempt to be me? Attempt to have any kind of power that I have. Yes, we should walk in the image of God. Yes, we should be striving to walk in His image and striving for His characteristics, right? The fruit of the Spirit and stuff like that. But we cannot be Him, right? Because if we could, why would we need Him? And I mean, think about somebody that got beside himself and then got kicked out of heaven, Satan. I mean, and this is why Satan uses those same tactics. He does those things to get in your mind, to get in your psyche, and to make you think either less of God or that you can handle the situation. And something that I've been learning, especially last year, is to really start to put things into God's hand. Because this is what happens when you put things into God's hand. He has a responsibility. And the thing is it's not like God doesn't want the responsibility. That's why He said, cast your cares upon me. Like He wants you to be like, here you go, I'm dealing with this. Here you go, I'm worried about this. Here you go, I'm scared of this. Here you go. And again, I understand we humans and it's easier said than done and all of those excuses. But let's focus on give it to God instead of, oh, well, we only human and all that. Let's focus on what we know we can do and we just choosing not to because we don't want to elevate our faith, but we want to talk the talk like we up there. Let's really be up there, right? Let's make that choice. Let's make that decision to really elevate in our minds. Even with your New Year goals and your New Year, all of this stuff, start putting more of the responsibility in God's hand. You got to do your part, because I'm a big believer in show your faith by your works and not just by your words. I'm a big believer in that. But I'm also big on letting God do what God's supposed to do, want to do, and will do if you allow Him to. So yeah, big on saying, here you go, God. I am now anyway. I can say the opposite, because I definitely was the person that, it was because I'm a man. So I thought I know God can do this, but I'm supposed to figure this out. That's what society teaches you. But that ain't what God said. If He said, you could put it in my hands. If He said you can cast your cares upon me, then why am I not doing that? He literally told me I can. That's not just an option. That's almost like, hey, you don't have to carry this load on your own, right? God already said He's not gonna put more on us than we can bear. But if we ain't putting nothing in His hands, He ain't putting more on us than we can bear. We are, because we ain't putting nothing in His hands. God, I just can't take it no more. But you ain't put it in his hands. You ain't willingly gave it to him. You still dealing with it. You still running the same cycle. You still going back and playing patty cake with the devil. This is something that I said, and this is something that you're going to hear me say even more of. Years ago, I wrote it when I was a teenager. But the devil fascinates before he assassinates. Every single time.
I think that honestly goes back to you saying to confide. Being confident with confiding in God. I feel like not everything that comes against us or that we go through is from the enemy, right? Some things God allows, and I believe he allows those things because some people just don't talk to God, right? Like, there are so many other people to speak to, earthly people. If you have a family, friends, therapists that people choose to go to instead of going back to God. So, and especially when life is going good, some people feel like there's no need in even going to God to confide. Like, what am I going to talk to God about? And I just feel like, although God sees all, knows all, he still wants you to come, speak to him, tell him what's on your mind, tell him what you're dealing with, tell him what you're happy with, what you're satisfied with. He wants to know, just to build connection, relationship with him. And I feel like sometimes people think that any inconvenience means that you're not where you're supposed to be, or it's automatically the enemy. It's not. Sometimes God just wants to get your attention.
Yeah.
God wants to talk to you. God wants to commune with you. And if you're in a good place, you're not going to take that time to even just sit with him and have a conversation, or even to pray. So I feel like some people should also look into that and, realizing that not everything is just, to get you all ruffled up and all of that. But sometimes God is literally just speaking, trying to commune, trying to build relationship, because he misses you. He wants to talk to you. He wants to hear from you.
Distractions. And that's really what I want to hit on is just distractions, y'all. We got to be mindful. We have to be more mindful of distractions. This world is full of it. And if you don't watch it, you'll find yourself in a place and in a position that you don't even want to be in, or you never thought you would find yourself in, all because you've been distracted. But there's hope. You don't have to be distracted. You don't. You can do things to be more mindful, right? And one of those things is, maybe you need to pray more. Maybe you need to express yourself to God more. And I'm not saying that all humans are a distraction, but maybe you need to get rid of some. Maybe you need to find some new ones, right? All of those things can help you. But one thing that I will say is I think what we need to do more of is getting rid of the distractions within ourselves. And sometimes you do have to get rid of the distractions around you to help you in that area. But I think we need to be a little bit more real with ourselves and see where we're being distracted within ourselves. Because I think our biggest distraction is us. And like I said, it could be our thoughts. It could be something that we are obsessed with or idolize within ourselves. It could be our looks. It could be somebody that maybe we care about a little bit too much, or putting a little bit too much time into, instead of putting that time into ourselves. Because something else I'm big on too is like, we're supposed to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But if you ain't loving yourself right, and y'all done heard me say this before, you can't love your neighbor good if you ain't loving yourself right. And if you got stuff you battling within yourself, but then you're not fixing it, you ain't gonna be able to love your neighbor as well. So we gotta be a little selfish, if I could use that word. And we gotta really dig in and look within. And those things that God shows us about us, Don't just ignore it and dismiss it and get mad and get an attitude or whatever. Nah, that ain't. No, don't do that. Pay attention. See if it is you. You know, pray that thing out. Ask God more about it. Like, hey, if this really is me, give me another sign. You know, but the main thing is put the work in. Put the work in to get rid of those distractions. And when you get rid of those distractions, you're going to find more peace. You're going to find more focus. You're going to find more hope. You're going to just start to be more disciplined, right? All those things that's going to help you get those goals that you're trying to get this year and all that. Them distractions go keep you from them goals, and they go keep you from where you really want to be, or if they don't keep you from it, they're going to slow you down, if nothing else. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of Etcetera State of Mind podcast, stepping inside the mind of Etcetera. Shout out to my cousin for being my first guest on my podcast. Oh yeah, we're going to have her back real soon. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure not to be distracted this year. Pay attention to it. Be mindful of it. Do what you got to do to get rid of the distractions and keep moving forward. We're going to have all the links and everything so you can follow me, so you can follow my cousin in the description. Be sure to do that, you guys. Share the podcast, like it up, put your comments in, tell me what you think, what your thoughts are, what your distraction is, what your goal is, something you've overcame. And until next time, y'all have a abundantly blessed day, night, whatever time it is. We out of here. Holla.
Bye, guys.